Hello and welcome back to another Dead City review, and today it's time to talk about, break down and review Season 2 Episode 4, and this is a great episode to talk about. There's so many moments I really want to break down, and this episode's very refreshing to watch compared to a lot of the other shows, or show I should say, that I've been watching recently. So let's get into Episode 4, and this episode is a Negan focused episode. It's really good because the last 3 episodes have really been focusing on Maggie and Herschel and putting Negan in the buffer zone and Shaft and Negan. This episode's like, nope, they're in the buffer zone this episode and Negan's the main focus and the Dharma and the Croat, and is absolutely amazing. The premise of this episode, the main focus of this episode, is about the Dharma and Negan the Croat going over to see Bugle to try and convince him to join the army, and the entire episode is just a negotiation and them going back and forth on who's gonna win. Will Bugle get what he wants, which is his own source to make methane, or will the Dharma get what she wants, which is she keeps control of the methane but Bugle joins her army? And that's the focus of the episode, and it might be very small scale, but it's absolutely amazing because there's so many small moments. I really enjoy Bugle. He's definitely one of my favourite new Walking Dead characters. Absolutely steals the show. His first scene in this episode, I was like, that's it. You're now my favourite character of this episode. And he just carries on being phenomenal. I really like how this episode just has so many people trying to play 4D chess against each other. And it is just so well done. I really like so many of these Dead City characters, which is mad because I thought Dead City Season 1 had some of the weakest extended cast in the Walking Dead universe. And then Season 2 has Bugle, Croat is more enjoyable. I'm thinking Pearlie's getting a little better, but he's still pretty mid. And then we got the Dharma. They are almost, definitely on the Negan side of the story, they are all scene stealers. And then you have Negan being Savior Negan again. And it just absolutely blows me away how good this episode is. All the other episodes have been solid, but there is a massive increase in quality between episode 3 and episode 4. And what I really like about this episode, it has so many great small scenes. Even on the Maggie side, I'll talk about this one first because it's probably the only Maggie scene I really enjoy, is the scene where you have Pearlie, Maggie and Herschel. They are walking out of Central Park and they stop, and I really like the scene where you have Pearlie and Maggie reminiscing about their time before, and then you have Herschel being like, well, I don't know what any of this is. It's just really good, and it really makes you realise we're getting a point in the timeline where people are basically almost adults and they do not know what their life was like before. So you're getting these older characters trying to rebuild a world for their children, which their children have never known. I really enjoy how they're making a clear difference between the youth and the older characters in this season, and they're just making Herschel absolutely amazing. I'm really enjoying Herschel this season. Even though he's a smaller role, he's still got some amazing scenes. And then over to the Negan side, which is the big majority of this episode. I've already gushed about how great all his cast is, but I really enjoy this kind of through plot line between Negan and the Dharma. And it's basically a tug of war who has power. And this episode starts off with the Dharma making Negan uncomfortable by reminding him that Annie and Joshua are on their way to Manhattan. But then later on in the episode, when they're at the dinner scene, you have the historian telling Negan about the Dharma's backstory, when we find out she was a theatre reviewer, but she ended up buying a guy, and it was a big shame to her. And you could see that she was uncomfortable, but Negan was forcing the historian or egging him on to carry on telling the story. And I really enjoy that he's trying to take power from her, and then she flips it back on him by saying, oh, show me that picture again. Did Herschel draw that? And you could see that it's merely she's now back in control. I am really enjoying the Dharma and Negan's dynamic. And I definitely think this is going to be the start of many scenes between the two characters where they're wrestling for power over each other. It is just absolutely amazing. There's another scene where I've been like, my favourite scene in this episode is a Dharma scene, just like episode 3, where I'm thinking, it's not the battle, it's the aftermath where she's walking around with a pen. This is my favourite scene. Probably all scenes with Dharma are my favourite scene. She's my favourite character of Season 2. Up there with Herschel. I think those two are absolutely amazing. And we get a small reunion of them in this episode, but we don't get to see what they really say. All we know is that Negan now knows Herschel's on the Dharma side, and he warns Maggie. We get a very brief reunion between Maggie and Negan, and I'm a bit indifferent on it. However, it does give a crucial scene where Maggie finds out Negan's been forced to do this because his wife and son are on the way. So hopefully we get more scenes where Maggie feels guilt that she hasn't just doomed Negan, she's doomed his entire family, potentially, which would be great. But with Maggie, she doesn't really do anything like that. They're always trying to avoid any blame on Maggie because, you know, she can't be at fault. It's always Negan's fault, which is a little annoying, even though she was basically the villain of season 1. But moving past that, this episode absolutely does a lot. It is a very small scale. It is just so well paced. Every scene, even though there is barely any action, just because you have so many great actors in one room just going off each other, it's phenomenal. I think maybe the weakest link would probably, in the Negan side, would be, it's hard, maybe the Croat, but that is because they made the character like that, not the acting. They made the character be the weakest link in the scenes, as you have all these other characters playing 4D chess, and eventually Negan outsmarts Bugle by going, let's wrestle walkers, and then he finds out that Bugle's walker is not actually a walker. For a minute, with the Croat, he kept talking about, oh, you're giving him syringes, you've been amping up your walker. I was like, is this a Daryl Dixon reference? This does take place 6 years after Daryl Dixon, so is this a Daryl Dixon reference? It could be, but he's a chemist, so he could have maybe a similar idea. But I really, really enjoyed the whole Bugle bullying the Croat, which was quite funny. And I like how the Croat really feels like that Negan's replacing him. It's very clear in this episode. He keeps looking over at Negan, and he's trying to almost upstage Negan to force Bugle's hand to join the army, but it's failing, and eventually leads to Negan doing it, making him look terrible in the eyes of the Dharma, which is all he cares about, and then making Negan look even better, because he basically completely ruins the negotiations, and Negan does a Hail Mary saying, let's wrestle walkers, and then finds out the walker's human. And even though Negan loses the fight, he's still able to win because he just confronts Bugle quietly about it, and then Bugle's something like, okay, we won, but no strings attached, we're going to join your army. It is just a fantastic scene. This entire episode is great. So let's move over to my conclusion. Overall, I would say that The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2 Episode 4 is a fantastic episode, and I would give it a 9 out of 10. I have literally almost no issues with this episode. There's no moments where I've been like, I don't like the pace, I don't like this, I don't like that. Everything about this episode, there's been so many great moments, and all the scenes are just phenomenal. The premise is simple, but you get so many good actors in one place. You're making gold, in my opinion. This episode has so many gold scenes, so many little scenes, and it is phenomenal. However, this is just my personal opinion. So please tell me down below, what do you think? Did you love this episode? Did you hate this episode? Put all your thoughts down in the comments. This is it with me today, so thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.